Hey friends, welcome back to Confidence Coffee, where we keep it real, raw, and a little bit caffeinated. I'm your host, Ashley Henriott, speaker, author, and your go-to hype girl for when life feels like a lot. Around here, we talk about things that keep you up at night. Self-doubt, fear, people-pleasing, faith, and finding your voice again, without the fluff. So grab your coffee, pull up a seat, and let's talk about stuff that actually matters. Hey you guys, welcome back to Confidence and Coffee. We are up and close and personal because I'm here with my friend Allison, and I really feel like today you guys should really tune in, like listen in, because I feel like I feel comfortable with her. I'm sitting today and that's
Fancy,
so
right?
nice. I
My
love
name
it.
is way fancier than I am.
Allison Jabot. Listen, you guys, she's a licensed therapist. We love therapy and theology, Allison. We
Yes.
love it here. She's an international speaker and mindset coach who helps people go and let go of shame and step into confidence, which you guys know we love, and empowerment. And I'm so excited to have her on Confidence and Coffee because here's the thing, she's always going to come to truth. And, you know, I talk about Jesus offering healing in every part of who we are. And I know that you have helped so many people navigate through trauma, anxiety, intimacy struggles, which we don't talk about enough. And I can't wait to hear your wisdom. I really
Yeah.
can't. So, Allison, I'm bragging about you.
Mm.
Okay. Sorry. Can you tell us just a little bit about who you are and then just kind of what brought you to wanting to make this movement and help these women in this way?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. So my name is Allison and I'm a licensed therapist. I'm in New Jersey, so I'm over on the East Coast. And I think, yes, it's actually it's beautiful here today. And I think part of the reason that I got into the career that I got is I really felt called to do it. So I started an entirely different career. Actually was a private investigator for a really long time.
Ooh,
And I know it was a wild career. I didn't follow husbands or anything. I worked in corporate investigations, but
lame.
I know, right? I was like, it sounds so much cooler. I wish I had binoculars and a trench coat. I just sat at a desk. But about 10 years ago, I had spent a lot of time in my college, my high school, and my early 20s really working with women. I worked in a hospital, attending to people who had been in some way assaulted, women particularly. And I just felt really called to go back to it. So about 10 years ago, I started all over again. I went right back to scratch. I quit my corporate job that I was very successful at. I went back to school. I got an internship, and I became a therapist. And the thing that I think is most important to me in the work that I do is I really know what it's like on a very personal level to have worked really hard towards something, whether it's your marriage or whether it's a job, and feel misaligned. And so I spend a lot of time with women helping them find alignment. Now, for me, it looked like complete abandonment. I had to leave that entire life. For most women, it doesn't have to be anything like that, right? There's a lot of space between sort of feeling misaligned and having to let go of whatever the thing is. So I work with women very closely on really giving them access to their own voice and their own intuition and their own spirit, and just seeing what part of their lives feel really good and what part of their lives feel really like it needs some work and it needs some change. And we just get really curious on how to discover that.
Wow. Okay, so I'm throwing my papers out here. I
Really?
want to go back to something that you said, which was phenomenal because you're like, I left that and I kind of felt abandoned. And then you talk about people, like this really struck a chord with me when you said, when people feel like they're kind of misplaced and kind of pulling off of that. That's kind of scary. Like I'm a confidence coach, right? I've been doing this for 5 years, but I'm no therapist. So you focus on deep, I focus on future, right?
Hmm.
And self-awareness. That is really a difficult thing to do. I mean, I'm being honest, that's difficult for me to do because I'll tell you what, I wrestle with it personally. If I'm being parent, like, should I be coaching right now?
Hmm.
Like, let's be so for real.
Yeah.
Do you find that to be common in your practice? And what do you think are the reasons for that cultural, like, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, I do. I think I find it very, very common, right? So I think I'm sort of like an open book. I wear my heart on my sleeve very readily. And I have a pretty, I have a good social media following and I speak on world stages. And part of the reason that I share my story is because I think a lot of the time you had mentioned shame. Like when we feel, for instance, like, should I be coaching? Right? Do I need more? What if I don't like my career? We feel a lot of shame around that, right? Because we've sort of been taught like there's this prescribed way of life. And if you're doing something, of course, you should stick to it. And I like to challenge that in a really curious and gentle way. And what I mean by that is like, especially like, you're a spiritual person, right? Like we have internal wisdom, right? And so sometimes when we're hearing that intuition and our brains and bodies and spirit is telling us, like, no, maybe it's okay to think about what this looks like or what that looks like. To me, it's almost like that's so powerful and divine, right? Like we are listening to our intuition. And so it's almost like a disservice when we start to should ourselves or shame ourselves, right? Where it's like, well, should I even be doing this? It's like, the question is beautiful, but it's the wrong energy to ask it in, right? If it's like, should I even be coaching? It's like, what are we really saying to ourselves? I'm second guessing myself. I'm doubting my own intuition. I'm doubting my own spirit, right? And it's like, what I really want someone to do is ask it more curiously, like, should I be coaching right now? And, when we kind of come at it from that energy, like the answers come, right? And usually the answer is like, yes, you should be doing it. Of course, you're great. We just need to build that confidence around it and that trust, right? And so much like I do a lot of confidence coaching as well. And the word that I almost obsessively use is like trust. Like trust the path, trust yourself, trust your intuition, trust your needs. But it is incredibly common for someone to doubt it, right? Because we do get a lot of pressure to sort of overthink, to spend a lot of time in our heads. When I coach women, I specifically will say to them like, "Ooh, that's so head centered. We're like doing so much logic work. Like let's drop into that heart center, right? Because like that's really where our wisdom is, right?" So, yeah, it's super common for people to doubt themselves, especially if they're questioning, right? Like the questioning and the doubt, it's actually really great information. It's really beautiful, but if we're so scared and we feel like it's a threat, we usually shut that door.
That's so good. Like, I love the practicality in it too. I love that you're like, we should be asking more curiously because 'cause you're also giving yourself grace. Like, a lot of this, I think, from what I coach is, right now I teach people to trust in themselves. Like, God created us, and He says all the time that we are a beautiful creation. And people can argue about this, but I'm always like, God was selfish. Go to the 10 commandments, it's all about love him before anything else. Don't curse his name, right? Like put him before all things. And then he gets to us.
Mhm.
And he also says, I created you in my image. So why is it that you can somehow think and question yourself in such a negative way when I created you as a proud being? And
Mm.
so I genuinely am like, let's look at this in such a different way. Let's like trust our abilities and trust that we can protect ourselves and trust that we know what we're doing because that'll change the game. That will bring the confidence. And
Yes.
you know a lot about that. And so um I'm going to even go here and I want you to go with me. But okay. Silently carry I'm so passionate about this. They silently carry shame.
Mhm.
So from your experience, Allison, like what's the first step to breaking that off and walking in freedom?
That is a beautiful question. Yeah, I mean the nature of shame, it's very secretive, right? We think we're the only person that's experiencing whatever it is, right? Whether it's the doubt, whether it's the second guessing, whether it's whatever it may be. And
Yeah.
so if we're looking at like how do we start to chip away at that, it's almost an obvious answer and yet the one that like people eye roll at, right? It's like we start to talk about it and find relatability and find community. And for me, it looks like that heart on that sleeve being super vulnerable. Like I air my dirty laundry. And to me, that is like so empowering and not in some way that's like crude or just like for showy sake. It's like actually, in my newsletter, I'll talk about a fight I had with my husband, or I'll talk about the day that I like doubted myself as a therapist. And I'll talk about just like all the things that we feel because we feel them, right?
Yeah.
I was on a stage not that long ago and I was giving a confidence and empowerment, like big lecture. And that day was a hard day for me, right? Like I just had gotten lifey and I was really insecure. I was like insecure about how I looked. I was insecure about, and I was starting to enter the stage and, we call it imposter syndrome, right? It's like, I was like, who am I to take this stage and tell women that they need empowerment when I'm feeling very disempowered right now? And so what did I do? I took the stage and I told that story. Like, hey, I'm entering the stage, but I'm a human too. And I almost felt the women like sigh relief, right? It's like, oh, she's a person too. She doesn't just like have this inaccessible thing, this confidence that like I will never get. It's like, oh, she's wounded too, right? She has doubts too. And so I think that's like a huge part of it. It doesn't have to look like taking a stage though, right? Starting to find a confidant, like whether it's a therapist or a pastor or a priest or a gym buddy, right? Like starting to kind of open up allows us to sort of see that it's like we're not so unique in our human experience, right? It's like we all have those days, we all have those doubts, we all have that wounds and triggers and things we're not proud of, right? And it's like you use the word grace, and it's one of my favorite. I think
Mine too.
it's so beautiful and it's so powerful. And so when I talk to people and they're like, how do I get better? Right. And it's like, I know that this isn't the mic drop moment that you think it's gonna be, but grace, right? It's like grace, vulnerability, connection, unity. It's like those are the things that actually pivot us moving forward. And I often joke, like, listen, if I had like the one answer, like do this and everything will change, like, you know, I I'd be a millionaire, right? Like I wouldn't be talking on these podcasts. I'd be the next Oprah. Right? But like there's no one fix. There just isn't. And it's really a accumulation of just these little changes. So if you're sitting at church and you're silently in shame, like think about what it would feel like to start to like, I always think anxiety is kind of like stuck in it, like it's energy stuck in our bodies. But when we start to move it, it starts to kind of flow out. We metabolize it. Shame works that way too. So, even if it's just journaling, even if it's just telling it to yourself, even if it's just hand over heart, like, I am okay, right? It's okay that I'm not perfect, right? I still can love myself. I still can trust myself. I'm still valuable. I'm still worthy. And I do a lot of work on brain science. Believe it or not, I'll save this like speech for another day, but you'll just have to trust me here. It actually changes your brain, right? Like what we start to tell
Please
ourselves, what we
talk about it. Please.
when we say things to ourselves all the time, right, wrong, or otherwise, right? And so when we're negative towards ourselves, when we're self-loathing to ourselves, when we're really shameful, there's a literal pathway in our brain that's like a little highway, and it's sending that information over that little pathway. And what happens is our brain stinks at being nuanced, right? So if we're like, well, I'm not good enough as a Christian because I don't go to church enough, right? It's like our brain doesn't hear the second part. It just hears I'm not good enough. So it's like now I'm at work and I'm thinking I'm not good enough, or I'm with my husband and I'm thinking I'm not good enough. And it starts to just kind of blanket. And we don't even know that that's happening. It's happening really subconsciously. So if we start to sort of change what we're saying to ourselves, our brain literally rewires. So it's just like, I can trust myself. I am good enough, right? I'm trying to the best of my ability, and that's enough, right? I am lovable even if I am fallible. It starts to just rework it. And then that shows up when we just start to feel better. And, unfortunately, it takes a little while for us to override our brains, which means we have to practice it quite actively. It's
Yeah.
not something that's passive.
How do you well, the Bible talks about like renewing your mind
Hmm.
daily. It's a daily submission of mind almost like where it's like I don't feel this way. I don't necessarily know how to think this way, but I'm going to choose to say it until I believe it. Do you know what I'm saying? And there's
That's exactly it.
like you're speaking to yourself, right? Like, Allison, I am not going to tell you that you're like not a good speaker. Like, you're not going to ever hear me say that to you, but like, you probably would say that to yourself, right? And so it's like we tend to be so much nicer to those around us before ourselves, and then we call that love. No,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
audience.
No.
That's not love.
Yeah.
Love, like I always talk about, I probably said it a million times, but biblically, if people want to bring that up, because I'm trying to help these women in this church and these Christian false beliefs. So many people have been like, had leadership manipulation and like spiritual manipulation and church trauma. And it's a real thing. It's a real, actually, epidemic of the mega church culture. Let's be so
Absolutely.
for real. Right? And I want people to understand there's so much science and so much logical. Stop turning your eye to ignorance, right? Even the Bible says if we want to bring that in there, right? Because I'm always like, let's do it, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, love your neighbor as, not before, not after, as you love yourself. Do you love yourself? Because I think that was like the first check. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
And so in your own work, Allison, like how do you see like your design and like what you're saying and even God's design? Like what is the design in for confidence and empowerment? How does that show up in your work for these women?
Yeah, and it's funny, like, I think I'm gonna back up like a hot sec. So I think like especially in our culture, we have all these like little pockets like, oh, this is spiritual or this is religious or this is scientific or this is therapy. And for me, like one woman, one opinion, right? I think they blend, right? So, when the work that I do, especially now that I'm coaching and like it gets to be a little more fluid than like old school therapy where it was very like, what are you thinking? Like I am a blank slate. The
How are
way
you
that
feeling in
I
this moment?
it's like I don't approach it at all like that, right? I use real language. And more than that, it's like, yeah, I think looking at like, we can't just isolate therapy. It's like, it's all inside of all of these big systems. So even what you were just saying, and it's like so brave what you said, it's like, for instance, if I'm working with someone who's like trying to channel confidence, but they've maybe been in a church that has like been, toxic for them. We want to pull the spirituality out and remember that they are anchored into their truth and we can kind of forget the noise, right, of other things
Why are people afraid to do that?
because it's scary, and it's like, again, it's that shame, right? Like, oh my God, but aren't I doing the wrong thing? I've been told that this is how it's supposed to be, and I'm going against the grain. So therefore I must be wrong. Right. And we do that with like all sorts of things. It definitely can happen inside of a church. It definitely can happen inside of a marriage. On a personal note, I'm 44 and I have a 1-year-old. I actually just dropped her off for her first day of school about an hour ago. I'm like, my makeup is still smeared. But, when I was starting to tell people that I really wanted to have a kid, I waited a long time to get married. I wasn't ready to do it until I was. And I got a lot of pushback, right? And people were like, you're too old. You need to get married now. You can't have a kid. It's too late. And the reason I'm sharing that is like, imagine I had internalized that, right? My beautiful, icy, amazing daughter wouldn't exist, right? I wouldn't have that love between us. And the thing that I had to really override was like, I am on my own chosen path and I get to listen to me and my internal wisdom and my core beliefs. And it's okay if that's not right for someone else. It's okay if for them it would be better for them to have a kid by a certain age, right? But I don't have to subscribe to that. But I can say that really confidently now, right? That doesn't mean that in my 30s, I wasn't like, wait, am I doing it wrong? Is it too late? Why is everybody doing it differently than me? There was a lot of doubt. There was a lot of heartache. I had to work really hard to push through the narratives that other people were giving me. And back to what you were saying, like really believe in that self-trust. And that doesn't mean that you're just like, I love you said don't put your eyes towards ignorance. Oh, beautiful. It's like I wasn't being ignorant or selfish and saying like it's just me and I know everything, right? I want to absorb other perspectives and like have an open mind and an open heart. But at the end of the day, like that's just information that I can process. I still have to trust myself. And so it's like from whether we're talking about therapy, like what do I do as a therapist to like help people improve their confidence? We kind of look back. We're like, okay, like you put it perfectly. Therapy is kind of backwards, right? We like look at like, well, why do we think this way? And coaching is really like, how do we move forward? I do both. But therapy will look at like, well, where did you hear that first? Who's speaking? And then the biggest question is, do you believe it? just because your mother told you something or your father told you something or the church told you
Right.
something, it's phenomenally up to you to decide, does this align with what I believe? And it's most of the time we say yes, we just need tweaking, right? It's like, well, I do believe it fundamentally, but I don't maybe believe it in this specific application. I need to kind of get
Yeah.
a little wiggly on what it actually looks like when it's unfolding inside of my life.
Yeah. Well, Allison, I'm going to speak here. These
Please.
people in the Bible did not have babies till they were like in their 70s. Y'all need to chill. Oh my God. The lies, though. It just goes with the lies. You know what? A question came to me in my spirit as you were talking. It's kind of off base, and I want us to be transparent. So if you're like, I don't want to talk about that, that's cool. For me, like, if like this question came to me, and I've actually never asked it or talked about it. But I love how you're like, but that didn't mean that I struggled in my 30s. With doubt. Do we This is a big one, and I may even question it wrong, but how do you feel about giving people, women, men, whatever, the permission to have doubt?
I think, oof, I love all these beautiful questions. I would give full permission to have doubt, right? And like from a therapeutic standpoint, the thing that I would usually say with a client is like when we are deeply questioning something, when we are doubtful, that's just information, right? It's like a little check engine light is on. And so it doesn't mean like the whole car is broke, right? It's like we just need to like open the hood and see what we discover. And so, whenever we're having a negative emotion, right? And just even by saying negative emotion, right? We already feel like cringy about it. But it's like anger exists, doubt exists, jealousy exists, envy exists, resentment exists. I don't think it does anybody a favor when we like push them away and is like, I can't get angry. It's like allow yourself to get angry, allow yourself to get doubtful, allow yourself to question things, but then respond to it in a healthy way, right? Like we're allowed to be angry, we're not allowed to be aggressive, for instance, right? It's like we can be doubtful and we use that as information to sort of be like, aha, okay, check engine light, open hood. What am I scared of? Where is this coming from? What do I need? Right. And what do I need is usually a really, really big one because whenever we're feeling a negative emotion, there's usually an unmet need. And so the next beautiful question becomes like, okay, how do I get it? Like I'm feeling really trapped in my relationships and I'm doubtful that this marriage is right for me. And then that made me immediately feel super shameful, right? And it's like, well, again, we can just question, well, what's the unmet need and how can I get it? And almost always we can find a way to get something. Like maybe it just means communication. Maybe it means extra support. Maybe it means going to a couples therapist. Maybe it means spending more time with family. Right? There is creative solutions to the needs that we have. But if we just get so scared that there's an unmet need, we don't fix it, right? And then we just like live like shame, doubt. Those aren't emotions that a lot of clarity comes. We have to kind of acknowledge the doubt, be willing to look at it, and then like we get aha moments, we get solutions, right? So having doubt, even inside of your marriage, even inside of a church, even inside of isn't mean that you're giving up. It just means that there needs to be some problem solving.
Yeah, that's so good. So I speak for all the hard-headed people. Yeah. Like something I've learned about myself is that I am hard-headed and it's not by choice. Like if you were to tell me this, Allison, 10, 15 years ago, it would have went over my head. And I would be like, that's great, but I have no idea what you're talking about. And it wouldn't be till now or whenever, like just as an example, that I'm like, that's what she meant. And so that's where I'm like, can we just go there? Like, can we get to those people? Because we spend so much time, it's our jobs, our passions to like encourage people. And we walked through this stuff to be like, don't do it. Don't do it. Or this is what you should have done because I didn't. Right. And there's such beauty in that. But there's also the realm of like giving people the permission to be like, warning, disclaimer, you're probably going to do it. You probably are, but can I give you a little bit of what I learned in that? So maybe it could be a little bit easier for you and meeting them where they are. I think that is the epiphany of meeting somewhere where they are, not going where they are and be like, let me tell you what to do. That's not meeting somebody where they are. And I just feel like the church has kind of messed up in that. I always say this, They've heard me say it a million times. The church has taught us how to be spiritual. They have not taught us how to be human. And I love how you like, why does it have to be different? Why does it have to be two different things? It's not. But people are so scared, especially in the church, to look at that in that way because it goes against everything that they ever thought they knew. But that is where the real freedom comes, and that is where real confidence comes. And so I'm just curious, like on a practical sense, right? In what we're talking about. What is one simple practice that someone can do today to quiet that anxiety or that overthinking? And no matter where they are in life, but lean into that peace.
Beautiful question. So I'm a big believer in our mind body connection. And I think that it is such a disservice in our systems that we like have mental health and physical health. Like it just constantly it reiterates that like we are not this like integral being. And so much, especially for like high functioning women who are running households, who are like keeping up with all the bills, who probably have a job, like women are like really doing things, right? Those women are usually very head centered and we're running to-do lists, we're crunching numbers, we're like managing schedules. If we really the practical thing to do is to move into that heart center. And like for me, it's meditation, but for people listening, it might be prayer, right? Like think about the times in your life where like your shoulders are back and you're not ruminating and you actually feel like more of that peace wherever that is, do more of it, right? And so for me, I'm very prone to overthinking. And when I can feel like just like tick, 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 tick in my brain, right? Whether it's like I'm doubtful or I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to pick up my kid at this time and I have this thing at that time. I make a conscious effort to drop into my body. And telltale signs for me is like my shoulders get up to my shoulders, right? I mean, my ears, right? Like I get very like crunchy. And so I'll just like put my shoulders back and you're really like physically opening up, right? And the thing, I'm not, that's not a mic drop moment. I'm sure plenty of people have said something similar. But the thing that I will say that makes it a little bit different is what I know about science, therapy, psychology, and brain science is we have top down and bottom up. So when we're thinking really like stressful things, it actually sends messages to our body, right? It tightens our shoulders, it clenches our chest, it
Yeah.
makes our adrenaline pump up. Like we have a bunch of things that happen. And vice versa, if we're like suddenly like tapping our foot quite a lot, it's going to send a message to our brain like she's in trouble. So we can actually use this and reverse it, right? It's like our brains do know that if all of our adrenaline is up, our cortisol levels are up, we're like in our own head, we're thinking about the million things that we have to do, and it's like making everything speed up. If we actually just take that big deep breath, like if we were being in an MRI machine, we would see, like we had a bunch of probes on us, we would see the physical response systems actually all start to become more peaceful, right? It's like the cortisol level will drop, the blood pressure will drop, the heart rate will drop. And that freedom, right? Like inside of that space, when we're not all jacked up, that is where we feel more aligned, right? That's where we get like, that's self care. Like, listen, I love a good mani pedi, but like, really, like breathing it's like I wish I've because I get this question every single time I talk on anything, right? It's like, what does someone do today? And it's like, you're gonna hate that I say it's take a deep breath, it's calm your nervous system. It's like for me, it's always hand over heart. I actually really, really believe in that. Like I need to feel my heartbeat, right? And just like, it's okay. It's okay. If you start to do that every single day, like, get back to me in 45 days. Listeners, if you do this, my handle is a note from your therapist. And in 45 days now, you're like, it didn't work at all. You will be the first person to tell me that, right? Like, I have never, ever, ever had someone not come back to me after 45 days and be like, wow, I just spent a few minutes every day just dropping into my heart center, taking a deep breath, like shoulders back, chill out. I feel better. It works. Like it is the secret sauce and it's so easy and it's so accessible. And the reason that people don't do it is because they're doubtful and they're skeptical and they eye roll. Right. And they're like, it can't be that easy. But it's like, it actually is. It actually is. And if you want to up it, like extra credit, or it with a mantra, right? I tell my clients when they brush their teeth, say something loving to themselves. And again, I know the eye roll
Yes.
comes. But it's
I
like
love that.
it can be like, I love myself, it can be I'm beautiful. Mine, I'll share it. Mine's just I can do hard things. It didn't even start with like anything to do with like worth. It's just every day for the last 3 years, I have reminded myself I can do tough things. And so every day feels a little easier because it doesn't matter what comes at me, whether it's like an argument with my husband or the crazy drop off line, or I get a bill I wasn't expecting, or I got a flat tire. It's like I can do hard things. And I have my dog's barking. I have taken all of that, and those are like little levels, but now I own a coaching practice. I speak on world stages. I wrote a book. I have a huge company, right? And it's like truly honest, like hand to God, do not believe that that would have been possible for me if every day I didn't look in the mirror and say something nice to myself. Like I rewired the brain. And so it's like if you want to get to that step, you got to start to actually put in the work,
Yeah.
right? You're not going to run a marathon on day one, but like you need to learn, figure out how to do the first push up. So yeah.
That is so good.
Mm.
That has just gave me goosebumps. You remind me, like, I have this rule in our house that you're not allowed to say anything negative about yourself. And we do affirmations in the morning. It's not this big, like, theater show performance. We're in the car rushing like everybody else. I ain't got no bra on. I'm in my robe, my car. But we're going to say those affirmations. Like, who am I
Yes.
to? I'm smart. I'm kind. I can speak clearly. I'm protected. Like, and I try to get them to come up with some on their own that maybe they're struggling with believing. Like my kids have a speaking impediment, my 2 younger ones, and so it's very much I can speak clearly. Like I'm so smart, I can read. Things that they are struggling in their little minds, like, and becoming aware that maybe I'm not that good or whatever, we're reversing it at a young age. And I think that that's beneficial because I'm teaching them their own self-regulation to be able to find worth in themselves and not look for it so outwardly. Um,
Yes.
Yeah, and so because you and I both know, like, we weren't taught that at our age, right?
No.
Like, our thoughts and feelings, our words, they didn't matter. We were to be seen and not heard. And so I wanna make sure that my kids know that, like, with respect, like, it's their body. Like, I don't make my kids hug you. I won't make them hug. Now, we're about manners. I'm from the South, okay? I was born in the North, but I was raised in the South. And so I'm very much like, you can say thank you, right?
Yes.
But I'm not making if my kids don't wanna hug you, like, I'm not gonna make them hug you.
Yes.
They're not comfortable to hug you. They're not comfortable to touch you. They're not comfortable hearing that. And so I just want to teach them the confidence within themselves and not lean on the world like at all because they can be a presence in the world and they can enjoy things in a way that brings peace and not pain. They'll
Oof.
experience pain, but they'll be able to process through it and use it for purpose. And
So
so,
good.
yeah, yeah. And you're a mom. And so it's like, that's our legacy, right? Our children are our legacy. And so, with me bringing up the childhood aspect and the young, and I know that you know this, but like, I would love for you to talk about how healing from trauma affects the way we show up in our marriages and relationships.
Yeah, I mean, how we behave and interact in the world is basically accumulation of everything we've acquired so far, right? So if we have had like abandonment wounds, we might be very scared someone's going to leave us, so we behave in that way, right? Or if, like you just said, like if we've grew up in a home where it's like you don't speak, right? You just sit there. It's like I might be very scared to speak what I need from my partner, right? It might feel very dangerous. And so that's true. And I specialized in trauma for an extremely long time. So I do believe that trauma shows up in our relationships. With that said, giant asterisks, it is also fully reversible. So we say like the body keeps the score and like trauma is held inside of our bodies. I believe that. I also believe so is healing. I'm not of the belief, unpopular opinion, but I'm not like what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I will sit with people who have endured things that they should have never had to endure. And I feel like they could have been strong without those instances. But
Amen. Allison, I don't mean to cut you off, but you have to say that again. What
yeah.
a false belief. Let's all gaslight ourselves. That's what I call it. Like we as Christians, because I'm gonna speak on the church aspect, which is what makes
Yeah.
Christian beautiful. But we are the worst about gaslighting ourselves. It's
Oh,
like I'll go to you about something pain. It's like, you know what? God's gonna use it to make you stronger,
Yeah,
And it's like, I could have just been I mean, he never wanted pain in my life in
that's
the first
right.
place.
Yeah.
Like, think about it, he never wanted this for me. Moment, I'm gonna have my fit and process my feelings,
That
okay? I don't need anybody's permission.
That, exactly that, and, like, yes, 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 and so it's like, unfortunately, things do happen to us from, just grief to loss to betrayal to
Yeah.
there's no human that's gonna escape any of this, right? It's part of our human existence, and so, what's the gift we give to ourselves? And you put it beautifully, and the gift to our children, right? Like, the gift and it doesn't even have to be your biological children, I often say confidence is a civic duty, because when one woman shows up more confident, it really does have this profound ripple effect. And so healing does that too. So, I think how does it show up in our relationships? Strongly. It doesn't mean though that if you've endured trauma or you have childhood wounds or some bad things have happened to you that that's just your identity. Those are things that happen to you. They are not you. Right. And so we always have a choice on how we decide to proceed. And I say that very gently, right? I don't want that to come off as aggressive, you have a choice whether you should deal with it or not. It's but that fundamentally is the truth, right? When we inherit things like trauma that we didn't ask for and didn't deserve, we have to figure out what to do next. And I always, the women that I work with, I will often say to them, I'm going to say it again, right? What killed you didn't make you stronger, but you are strong regardless. You were strong before and you're strong now. So let's just remember that strength. And especially when we're talking about something like trauma, it disconnects us from our power, right? By the nature of trauma. So let's reconnect, right? What a gift you're going to give to yourself that we're going to find way, even if it's slowly, even if it's gently, even if it takes a lot of time and a lot of work, you can trust yourself that you will get there, right? I can do hard things. Let's inventory all the things you've done so far. We've proven that you are capable and you are lovable despite all of this stuff. So let's just constantly re anchor to that, right? We're not anchoring to the trauma, we're anchoring to the beautiful goddess that you are, right? Because no one can take that away from you. I know it feels like they can, and that's not lost on me even marginally, but you get to be you inside of this life, period. And so, again, like you said, have your fit, have your scream. You get to be mad, you get to be angry, you get to be all of the things. You get to say that this is unfair. I don't want to do the work. I don't want to re-anchor. But at the end of the day, process that all because it all is part of healing, right? The grief, the anger, the frustration, and the
Yeah, so good. You are marvelous, and I know that people are gonna wanna hear more from you. Can you tell me about this, business and this book, please?
Yes, I'm writing a book called Yes, I Am Too Much. And
Oh my gosh.
it was birthed from a fight with my lovely, lovely husband. It always makes me sound like he's a jerk, but he's not. But, it was one of those fights where he was just like, you're being too insert, colorful word here. And I had a big moment in my life where I pulled back and I was like, no, I'm not. I had a client say this to me once, and I thought it was the most powerful thing I've ever heard. But she was writing a poem, and she said, the world is going to call you a lot of things, but it's ultimately up to you what to respond to. And in that moment, I decided that I get to decide what I call myself. I'm going to call myself capable, and I'm going to say my speech is clear, and I'm going to remind myself that I'm not my trauma, and I'm going to really empower myself to just be who I'm meant to be in this world. So yes, I'm writing that book, comes out hopefully, I'm working on my book deal now. And I
Okay.
have, as we all do, I have a social media account. I'm at A Note From Your Therapist. Same website, www.anotefromyourtherapist.com. I have some really cool things coming up. I do regular programs ranging from free to high ticket programs. And I have a podcast myself called Becoming Unstoppable. Ashley, one day I'm going to solicit you to come on with me. Let's reverse this.
I would be honor.
So yeah, those are all the ways in which you can find me. My DMs are always open. My emails are always open. I love to hear from people.
Yeah. Oh, listen, you guys heard that on social media, it's a note from your therapist.
Mhm.
Let me show y'all her book title is called Yes, I'm Too Much. I freaking love that. My gosh, I adore you so much. Is there anything else, that maybe we didn't get to share that you felt led to share?
The only thing that I'm just going to echo is, if you were listening, and you were struggling, I want you to know that you're already on the right track. Just the nature of finding things like support, even through a podcast, like that shows me how willing you are to receive. And that's already like you're already doing work, right? Like, again, back to those women always thinking, like, but I'm not doing enough. Yeah, you are. So, ladies, you're enough. You're doing enough. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, the fact that you asked that question. It's your job to answer it. I am being harsh.
Yeah, it
Allison
is.
can
No, I echo that part too.
pay
It's
for someone else to do it.
no, 100%. Yes, I actually
But
just
you
filmed
know
a
what I'm
reel on that
saying?
yesterday.
Yeah, it's
Absolutely.
like your therapist already told you, like, you are enough. So now it's your job when that question comes up to answer it for yourself. How are you gonna answer it? Are you gonna answer that question? Allison, I always do this thing if you have time, I
Yeah,
have a little bit of time, where if you guys want to tap share follow, if anybody has any questions for Allison, now is the time to ask. I can ask for you. And would you be open to answering any of these questions on
of
this live?
course.
Okay. The name of the book again is Yes, I'm Too Much. And
Yes.
it's not out yet, but that's
It's
why you
not
have to
out yet.
follow Allison. You got to follow her. Do you have like a newsletter, email
I
list, or any of that?
sure do. Yeah. If anybody DMs me, I'm happy to add you to my newsletter. It's actually, it's really juicy. I'm actually super proud of it. I spend a lot of time thinking about what women really need to hear. So it's my passion project. But you can DM me, and I'm happy to send you the link for it, or it's on my website at anotefromyourtherapist.com.
Amen. I have a few questions. Keep tapping, sharing, ask all the questions. We're real here. Somebody asked, what do you say about overthinking?
Ooh, yeah. So I'm gonna admit this. I heard this on Instagram first, so I wish that this was like a kernel of wisdom that I just came up with myself, but it's not. I saw on Instagram not that long ago, and it was talking about the difference between rumination and reflection, and it was saying rumination is by nature just overthinking, and it's just that cyclical thinking where you never have an aha moment. And reflection comes with aha moments. And that has been really helpful to me because, the women that I work with are like almost exclusively overthinkers. Like, I don't think I have a single one of them who's like, oh, my mind is just, it's so peaceful in there. It's like, no, we got 17,000 tabs open, right? I hear from women all the time when they go to sleep. It's like they're inventorying all of their stuff. And like, so we can't even shut down when we're like trying to go to be restful. And that can get really dangerous because just like our bodies, like we really, really do need rest. And like if you think about it, no matter what capacity we're talking about, whether you're a mom, a career woman, you're in your marriage, like what happens when we're tired? We're irritable, we're cranky, we're short tempered, we don't think well, right? We're kind of a hot mess. That's what we're doing to our brains, right? So it's the same, if not even more powerful, when our brain is exhausted. So, like, we really have to bring some intention to stopping overthinking. Something that I do pretty regularly is I literally tell myself, stop. I imagine a loop. Like, I just did this in the car. My husband was driving me a little crazy today, truth be told. And I dropped my kid off as a high pressure day, right? Like, we're going to the first day of school. And I was overthinking and overthinking. And I'm in my car overthinking, and I imagined a loop, and I imagined just like cutting it. Like, I am on a loop. Like, I need to get off of this train, right?
Yeah.
Because you're just kind of like doubling down when you're overthinking something. So I was, the argument was over. It was long over, but I'm still carrying it with me to my kid's first day of school. Right. And that's the nature of overthinking. So I imagined my little snips, right? And I was like, this is a choice. Just like you said, this is a choice, right? I'm choosing to do this. I know it doesn't feel like a choice a lot of the time, but like this is on me. I can just think about literally anything else. And so I looked out the window, and I do this with children, but it can help as adults. It's just Roy G. Biv, right? So you look out the window and you just notice like go through the rainbow, red, orange, yellow. It sounds so silly, right? You're like, why am I this is her big advice. She's telling me to look out the window for the rainbow. But the reason that it is because it cuts the thought. Right. So it just shifts your brain space to something total. It's arbitrary. It doesn't matter what you're shifting it to, but it intercepts that thought. And what's going to happen is you're going to want to go back to that thought. It's going to be really tempting to think about whatever you were just thinking about. shift your brain again. Right. So you just kind of, it's called a grounding technique, right? I didn't invent this. Pretty much if you look up like therapy tools for overthinking, you're definitely going to find this like very quickly. But it actually helps, right? And again, if we can get over the judgment of it and get over the like cringe icky factor, it actually can really, really help.
Kimberly said, cutting the loop, get off the merry-go-round.
Mm,
I have another question if you
yeah,
have time.
of course.
How to help build up the self-confidence of a child who has gone through trauma who doesn't believe?
I'm going to echo what Ashley said. I think that like morning ritual of like affirmations, right? Because we don't know exactly what's happening in their subconscious, right? But it's probably a lot of narrative of whatever they endured the trauma, right? I'm not enough. They're probably not saying I'm not enough, right? It's like they're saying some iteration of that in like little kid form, right? Like no one likes me. I'm stupid. I can't do anything right. And so we really want to reprogram their brain. And so I think just like as many opportunities as we have to help them, like, kind of we can fake it till they fake it till they make it a little bit, right? I like what you said. It's like, okay, I'm going to say we are lovable. I'm going to say I am capable. But now what are you going to say? And I do think that gives us a little bit of insight into what they are struggling with. Like, well, I'm just stupid at math. And it's like, okay, well, maybe we can say I'm just learning, right? I'm learning math. Look at how proud I am that I'm doing something hard. And so I think a lot of the time, just that conversation and that communication helps like actually rewire our brains. But then beyond that, it feels good in the moment. Like, I don't know, in your car in the morning ritual, right? But it probably feels nice to be having this energy that's very calm. And, I mean, I don't know how old the kids are. Ask them what they need. If kids
Yeah,
look like they need a lot of hugs, give them a lot of hugs. If it looks like they need to be outside, like kids actually tell us more than we give them credit for, right? We're like assume that they need
yeah,
this, that, and the other thing. But if you just ask a kid, a lot of the times they'll tell you, even if they don't vocalize it well. Right? Like,
yeah,
I just want to do dot dot dot. It's like, okay, so just I would trust your own intuition on like what it seems like they need. Ask them. And I always believe in like affirmations and just support, community, lots of love, lots of love.
I have lots of questions here. I'm gonna kinda this is from Kimberly again. I'm gonna kinda mix this one in, but what would you say with that practice for teenage children and adult children now how to like somebody's trying to parent their adult children, like get out of their business and like the boundaries and people are bringing the prayer in. What would you say? Because I have a teenager and he listens to me even though he acts like he doesn't listen to me, but he listens to me. My advice on the teenager aspect is it's really genuinely about action and repetition. Repetition. It's about action and repetition in what you do. It's not about what you say at that age because at that point they're trying to find their own independence. They want to do their own thing. They want to create their own thing. Like for them, the world does evolve around them,
Absolutely.
fortunately. And so I think it's just like, just know in your heart your kids are listening and they're watching. And it's never, ever going to be about, most of the time, it won't be about what we say, but it'll be about what we do and what we example and the fruit of it, right? Not just the practice of it, but the fruit of it. And even in then, like if you're honest about feeling worthless that day or you're honest about overthinking, like it's okay to be honest with your children so they know that like that's normal,
Hmm.
right? It's normal to get mad. It's normal to curse a little bit. Like my kids have cursed because I curse sometimes. But in my mind, it's like, okay, I don't want us cursing.
Yeah, same.
But
But we do
I'm really
sometimes.
grateful that my kids feel safe enough to want to do that with me and not outside of me. Cause then I feel like I still have influence just because I'm meeting them truly like where they are. Like, excuse my language, but also don't, where I'm like, shit. And then my son will be like, Mom, don't say shit. And I'm like, you're right. You don't say shit.
No, and it's that's such a good point, and I would blanket it through all the children, like whether we're talking about my 1-year-old or your teenager or your adult children. I truly believe that modeling is the biggest influence that we have. So even for the woman who asked about, what do we do with a kid who's been traumatized? Modeling healthy stuff for yourself is the most powerful thing. I have a rule in my household. My mother's currently here; she's helping me with my kid. I recovered from an eating disorder, and I had a lot of negative influence in my life about like, oh, should we just be naughty today and have a slice of pie? Like, ugh, that's so bad for us. There was just like a lot of messaging in my household around food and weight and body image, and I have eradicated that from my kid. Right. And my kid will never, ever, ever hear me pick apart my body. She will never hear me like, even if I think it, right? Which, because I'm a person, of course, I have those moments, right? But she is never going to witness me hating myself. And that's not something I'm saying to her, right? But the fact that it's going to be absent from our household means she's not learning it, right? And so I make a conscious effort pretty regularly to thank my body. So, she's one, she doesn't even understand, she doesn't even know how to say mama. But, like, we took a big hike, and at the end of the hike, I was like, "Oh, so thankful for our legs for carrying us this far," right? Like, "Woo, let's just look at the universe and, like, be so thankful that, like, we're so strong." And it sounds cheesy, right? But it's like, that is especially for children, that's impressionable, but even for teens, they are watching you. Teens are watching you even if they're kicking and screaming and telling you, like, "I don't care what you think," right? "You don't know anything." They are listening. So yeah, the gifts we give to our kids is just modeling, even for the adult children, right? Modeling good boundaries, modeling no, right?
Yeah, that's exactly. So I have 4 kids, and one's about to be 16, one's 13, one's 9, and one is 6. We have 3 boys and a girl. She's our last one. So she's, the princess. But I noticed, like, we're the same way, but um siblings are harsh, heartless to each other, especially my 2 oldest ones. It bothers me so badly. But at the same time, like, they hear it at school. Like, my second son is actually dealing with image in regard of his weight, and I'm worried, like, he's gonna get body dysmorphia or whatever, and I don't speak that to him like I'm talking to you, but I just noticed he's very self-conscious, like, when we go places, and I'm like, like, "Listen, you're cute, man. Like, you are so handsome. You look good." And then even the logical aspect of, like, you're gonna grow into it. We all did that. You're going to grow tall into it. You have a lot of growing to do. Just enjoy your life. Enjoy being 13 years old. Don't listen to other kids. If anything, if I could flip it, and that's what we do, they just feel that way about themselves and they're just saying that to you. So it's honestly kind of sad that they feel that way. And now they're just kind of throwing it up, or what we would call projecting
Mhm.
that onto you. Don't take everything so personally. That's a choice. Don't take everything on what people say. Understand that there's so much more to it and you have a choice to receive it or reject it. And so I am curious though, like when they do hear things maybe outside the home and it does affect them. What is your advice on that?
I would do exactly what
A lot
you're
of
doing.
questions here too.
I would do exactly what you're doing. The only caveat that I would add in is, validation. Like, it's okay. Listen, it is true. Like, that is so sad for them that they care about this. You are going to grow. You are handsome. You're amazing. I don't want you to embody and internalize, obviously, use more kid friendly words, like what they're saying. But then I would also add in, like, but it's okay that you feel sad because no one likes it when we get picked on, right? So there's kind of an and sentence. It's like, it's okay that you feel sad that you've been picked on. And also, right? Like,
Right.
let's just let them go though, because that's really a them problem, right? We say it. I mean,
That's so cute.
yeah,
Yeah. And I
yeah.
always teach them in a way that is like compassionate, not so cold, and because we don't want to dismiss other people, but we also don't want to people please and dismiss ourselves, or beneath ourselves. And so, yeah, like parenting basically never gets easy, and you just deal with different kinds of hard. But like Allison says, I can do hard things. Allison, I'm so grateful for you coming on Confidence and Coffee and talking to everybody here. Heather, Kim, everybody, thanks for the questions. And I do hope to have you back, or
Absolutely.
I can come on yours.
Also,
I think
absolutely.
we click really well. So, but again, thank you so much for coming on and for everybody here, this message.
Yes. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. This is a beautiful space.
Yeah, thank you.
If you loved that episode of Confidence and Coffee, stop right now, go leave a rating, a review. Tell me how this podcast episode inspired you. How did this inspire maybe a friend that you know? I would love to hear your testimony. Maybe screenshot, tag me in it on social media, wherever you are, so I can celebrate and share it with you. These ratings, these reviews, your subscriptions to the podcast on YouTube and anywhere you listen is so helpful to get this community growing, to get this message out. It takes you 2 seconds to make such a huge impact, so don't forget to do that. And I will see you next Tuesday on Confidence and Coffee.